Let's see here. I do like that you have all the different factions you can choose to work with to finish the game. I like that. Was a great option, and I appreciate that option. Because now you're not limited to just like helping the Brotherhood or the Enclave like you were in Fallout 3. They took that from New Vegas and executed it pretty well. Although, yeah, you get some parts that aren't that great. That's kind of just what you get for choosing different factions. That's fine. And then if we get to the DLCs, most of the DLCs for Fallout 4. Okay, this is, oh god, it's not gonna help me out whatsoever. Okay, that's fine. The majority of the DLCs for Fallout 4, except for I think it's 3, are all for the workshop, which is stupid. Most of that stuff could have been added. Like if we look at this, like there's only most of the stuff that you get, like you have all of this stuff that's like Nuka World or whatnot or something like that. Yeah, so we have all of this stuff. That's not it, but whatever. But the majority of the DLCs is just for workshop. It's so bad that they would put that behind a paywall. That I think Fallout 4 has the worst DLCs out of any other Fallout game. Because there are, 3 good DLCs. Automaton, Far Harbor, Nuka World. Those are because those are the ones that are most you're most involved with. 2 of them take you to different locations. Great. Although Far Harbor feels like a little bit more of a copy-paste of the one in Fallout 3. That's okay. They didn't go completely with it. They changed a bunch of stuff. They added a bunch of stuff. New people, new creatures, new weapons, new story plot. They did have a decent job with that. Nuka World, also pretty decent. New location, new characters, new concept. It lets you actually join the raiders, which is great because there's no other volume that lets you do that. That lets you join the quote-unquote bad guys. Unless it's the Enclave, but I'm not going to count them. And then you have Automaton, which I personally like because it adds an entire new system to the game. You get the workshop, the robot workshop, and along with all the parts and a bunch of new parts, and it brings in a bunch of new enemies, and it brings in the Mechanist. It is a little small. I just completed the Automaton DLC in like 45 minutes sort of thing. So in that sense it is kind of disappointingly small, but that's not necessarily any different than the DLC for Fallout 3, or what it's called, but the one where you helped other outcasts do the simulation. It's not much different from that, lengthwise. So I think that is probably the 3rd best DLC, just because it adds all that stuff. Then you have all the, 4 or 5 other DLCs, which are all just workshop stuff. Which is terrible. Like, half the stuff they added could have been in-game as an update, which would have drawn more people in rather than having to pay for it. It's stupid. Because New Vegas and Fallout 3 both had great DLCs that actually added more to the story and the plot, rather than just like, hey, you can build this stuff now, or hey, you can tame animals now, which sound there is more understandable, but still it's not quite significant enough for it to be its completely own separate DLC. I do like that you have the Creation Club for Fallout 4. That was a good decision. That was how they should have added that content, rather than a full-on DLC that you pay full price for, sort of thing. Okay. Go back to main plot. Yeah, there's just no urgency. Like, I can't get away from anything on all of this. Good lord. It is difficult to sympathize with the majority of the characters in Fallout 4. I don't know. I haven't really played any other Fallouts recently, so it could be about the same with him as well. So I'm not gonna put that against him, like, use as an argument. Where would that be? But for me, the reason why this game isn't above the other two is simply because the plot isn't as good. I have no inclination to complete the story at any point. There's no urgency. I have no feeling that I need to go do it. Fallout 4 is also somehow more empty feeling, more dead feeling than the other two games. Now, yes, that's probably technically not true. However, I cannot find myself wandering freely around this game without doing something, literally anything. Because as soon as you discover everything, I'm just done. Like, that's where mods come in, and I get the mods like, here's the Enclave remnants. Because there was that mod that I had before, which is really great. Because then you work with Enclaves in a vault, and it adds a bunch more content to actually make things interesting again. Because base game, for me, it is dry. Characters are dry. Story is dry. Quests are dry. Switch being fetch quests. Go here, do this, come back. Go here, do this, come back. Sort of thing. Especially for the brother, that's like primarily what the brother does for you. And the institute, all the institute's going out and it's hunting. It's a little bit more interesting. Now you do get little moments where you have unique and interesting characters that come up and you can actually, it feels interesting again, like when you work with Adam Cats here, or we go grab Curie. Curie being my favorite companion, because she has the most character, she's the most genuine, she is the most interesting in my opinion. She doesn't feel like a dead character, she just doesn't feel like an automated, if this happens, I say this, or this, or this, or this. She feels like she actually has a decent personality, while most other NPCs, like Valentine, Dance, Strong, especially Strong, uses like this same 6 lines straight if I kick him out of my settlement, because he just does not stop. What the hell was that? Okay. But they're just not interesting. You get depressed, also not interesting. Also, the exact same way, who just sends you on fetch quests all the time. It's all the same. It gets dry, it gets boring. Fallout 3, you had to go out and rescue people. You wander around, you can find captured people, you can help them out. You will find different caravans, different people who are in the ways, people who you've met before. Like, you can run across people from the vault and help them out. You can find one of the vault dwellers in Rivet City. The city for Fallout 3 was better. This city feels hectic and clustered, despite it being more open and more free to explore. Which I do like that. I do like that there's more of that. It just feels messy and disorganized. It just feels like things were just shoved together. Fallout 3 on the other hand, despite there being less there, felt more organically broken and destroyed and decrepit and occupied by students and the raiders and the gunners, or the town company. So it felt better, it felt more real. vaults were more interesting. You had the more sinister side to it. This one here, not so much. You have two of them that are like, oh no. The rest are just regular vaults. Like, there's nothing interesting to them. At least from what I remember, it's been a while since I worked into the vaults. Not went to them, but looked into them. Which, primarily Fallout 3 had the most interesting ones. Fallout New Vegas was kind of iffy with that. They really only have one super interesting one. You love the FEV virus. What else is there? I mean, you can even take those old games, Skyrim. I can still wander around that game for hours. They did good on that game. Like, wander around, it feels lively and feels like there's something to it. Well, if I wander around this game without mods, without the green mod, without mod that adds more interactions, without the more clutter mod, it is dry, it is decrepit, it is depressing. Which is what you got with Fallout 3 New Vegas. Except it didn't have that feeling for the reason. I can't figure out exactly which part of those games didn't have that. But they just didn't. They felt better. Of course, this one here, Fallout 4 does do things better than those games, though. There's a better legendary system. We can actually get random legendaries rather than having to rely on things just being there without anything bad going on. Okay, if your game breaks and all of a sudden it falls to the ground or something like that. Test system is good. Being able to customize weapons is good. I like that. That was a good addition. Settlements, kind of iffy. They're nice, but it wasn't a necessary addition. It kind of just takes up way too much time. It's just takes you away from everything else. Power system, that was a really good idea. I do like that they did do that, because instead of it just feeling like a coat of armor that you can put on, it feels like you're actually like a tank at that point, although in this game they're not really tanky, they're kind of just mediocre. Enemies, they're the same as the other two games in New Vegas and 3. There's nothing special about that, nothing innovative or anything. Other than the Rust Devils, which is part of DLC. They're a bit more interesting, that's about it. And of course the raiders that you can team up with, them as NPCs and being able to work with them. That was probably the best thing they did for their DLC, what makes Nuka World probably the best DLC. Plus adding in new weapons, new enemies, unique items, unique power armor. You don't really get as much of that with Far Harbor or the Automaton DLC. I think those are, my opinion, the 3 best DLCs.